Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Redbreast 12 Cask Strength. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Redbreast 12 Cask Strength. This is the second of my reviews for Irish Whisky Month, and all my whiskies have been picked by my followers. So, Redbreast 12 Cask Strength. It's an upgrade on the standard Redbreast 12 and it's 55.8%, and this is batch 2 from 2019. I have a competition. If you'd like to win a sample of this and all the other whiskies featured in this series, then keep watching and I'll give you details at the end. So let me tell you a bit more about the brand. W.A. Gilbey's originally started the brand. They were a wine and spirit merchant in the mid-19th century, and in 1887 they partnered with Jameson so they could take the pure pot still Irish whiskey from the Bow Street distillery in Dublin and have it put in their empty sherry casks. Once they'd sold the sherry, they had these empty casks and thought it would make a good partnership. So 1912 was the first mention of the Redbreast brand. Before then they were calling their whiskies different names, and that partnership with Jameson ran all the way till 1971 when the Bow Street distillery closed and there was no more pure pot still whiskey for Gilbey's. In 1986, pretty much once the stocks had run dry, they sold the brand to Irish Distillers Limited, who were now the owners of Jameson. In 1991, the Irish Distillers relaunched Redbreast with their own stocks, and in 2011 the Cask Strength was launched. So the Cask Strength is 10 years old now. It retails for just over £90. We'll find out whether or not that's good value for money shortly. And when it's on sale, it can be had anywhere between sort of £65 and £75. So obviously, if it's good at £90+, then clearly it's going to be better at those sale prices. But should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whiskey. Right, so as it's Irish Whisky Month, I thought I'd bring out my Túath Glass, which is the Irish equivalent to a Glencairn. If you've not seen one before and you like the look of it, then I'll put a link in the description so you can find out where to get one. Let's start off with the colour. I'd say that's like an Amontillado sherry colour. It really is quite dark, but there could be added colour because it doesn't say anywhere on the packaging that it is uncoloured. Let's start off with the nose. So really this is a whiskey that needs time to breathe. The longer you leave it in the glass, the more you'll get out on the nose, and the same with the palate. But let's tell you what I get. First thing is sweet toffee. It's lovely and sweet. That follows with baking spices. Then there's that buttery biscuit note, which I often get with pot still whiskey. Pot still whiskey, if you're not familiar with it, is an Irish invention. Pot still whiskey is where they add unmalted barley as well as malted barley into the mash bill. There's a historical reason to that, and it's all to do with saving tax when the British government taxed malted barley. So the Irish were quite clever and they decided to add unmalted barley to save some money going to the government. And well, even after the law was changed, they kept with it because they liked it so much. So that's pot still whiskey. Let's get back to the nose. So I'm getting like a sweet sherry note. It really is lovely and sweet. There's a lovely charred oak note as well. It's really quite noticeable. I'm getting like a hint of orange. I'm getting some cherry. And I'm also getting some dark chocolate. Really, really is good. But the longer you leave it in the glass, the more you'll get. Let's try it on the palate. Right, so for a cask strength whiskey, this is quite deceptive because when you first put it in your mouth, it really is quite light. There's not much giving away that there's, you know, a high ABV of 55+% there. But it soon turns to heat. It really is quite surprising how it can go from practically nothing to heat. but it's not overpowering. Some people might want to add water to this because, you know, depending on your taste buds, if this is the first dram of the night, you probably would definitely need to add water, but the choice is yours. I'd say it does work well with water, but it also works well neat. So once that heat starts to build, what flavours am I getting? So there's sweet but lightly dry sherry. There's that creamy, buttery note that I get from the pot still. And then there's things like toffee fudge. Really is sweet, but it does take time to develop on the palate. Let's have another sip and tell you what else I get. Yeah, so it really is an Irish sherry bomb. Lots of sherry. You know, the more you sip it, the more those flavours build on the palate. But with those sherry notes, I'm also getting dark chocolate. There's a cereal note. It really is oily. It coats the palate, and there's a little bit of alcohol vapour. And it's not off-putting, but it's right at the end. Once all those flavours have gone, there is a slight alcohol vapour note. But the dominant flavours are those sherry notes, the creaminess, the toffee, and those sort of dark chocolate notes. It really is quite nice. In terms of finish, once those flavours have you know, started to dissipate, you're left with quite a bit of heat that lingers along with pepper, but it's not too hot, not too spicy. There's that sweet dessert wine sort of note on the palate, and a little bit of dry wood, but it really does have a very long finish. This lingers on the palate for some time. So a glass of this might last you a long time, and if you're experimenting with water, that may take even longer. So in terms of value, at £90+, it's a great dram, don't get me wrong, but at £90+, I wouldn't go and buy a bottle again in a hurry. But at £75, yes, I think I'd happily go and buy a bottle at £75. That's sort of the upper limit, and it's often on sale, so don't rush out and buy it just for the sake of it. It's definitely an upgrade on the standard 12, and it definitely is worth the extra price. If you bought the standard 12 and then tried this, you'd be really disappointed that you'd spent money on the standard 12. But it really is a good dram, and it's definitely one that I think everybody, especially if you're into Irish whiskey, it's definitely one that you need to have in your cabinet, but only at the right price. If you'd like to win a sample of this, along with the other whiskies I'm going to feature in Irish Whiskey Month, plus a bonus dram, there'll be an extra one, so there's 5 in total. Just leave a comment below and let me know, you know, have you tried this? What did you think of it? If you haven't tried it, you know, is there anything putting you off? And yeah, if you want to know anything about the history of Gilbey's, drop a comment below and I'll see if I can get you the answer. Good luck, and I'll see you for the next one. So on to
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.